Well, what I think he did is he camouflaged himself during the Me Too movement. Because if you look at his body of work, there was probably nobody who was more disrespectful, more exploitive to women, to special needs people. He abused them. He put them on his shows. He didn't pay them. He made fun of them. Look what he did to Corey Feldman when he was trying to launch his music career.
Dana Plato.
Yep. He would constantly make fun of and trash people, and then it was a time.
Surreal. But what is this that we're seeing?
I don't know. Is there anything creepier than a guy who looks like a hippie but talks like a Fed? Not for my money.
Have you ever heard something so real it changes the whole conversation? That's what happened when Tyrus and Tucker Carlson dropped unexpected takes, while Howard Stern reacted in real time. The energy shifted fast. What was said hit hard, and the reaction made it impossible to ignore.
In history class, they'd be like, he's not anything close to Hitler.
Yeah.
There is no other Hitler. Hence why we know who Hitler is.
Yeah.
Because there's just an ignorance and it's an arrogance to where I could just say whatever I want to. Then they get caught. And they can't say, I have been wasting network money lying to you.
Last night, 4 years ago, Democrats came up with a new and untested political theory. They could win the White House, their strategist promised, if only they called enough people.
If this is hitting different, don't forget to subscribe. It really helps. It starts quietly. A few calm comments drop, nothing dramatic. Then suddenly, the tone shifts, and one familiar voice reacts like everything just changed.
You can get away with that stuff. Then all of a sudden, people who were doing those things for decades started getting held accountable. And what did Howard do? He turned about face and immediately became so far to the progressive that he found a way to get out from underneath it.
Yeah.
And then he was left with what? His talent. He wasn't able to degrade people anymore. He wasn't able to make fun of people anymore. So he apparently is not that talented. He's just established. So he slides in now and people listen to him. They're like, it's a rich guy talking about how
Howard Stern built a reputation for staying unfazed, but this time felt different. Tyrus and Tucker Carlson didn't come in loud. They came in calm, confident, unbothered, and that quiet energy shifted the entire tone.
I want to get out of the house already. I want to go next door and play chess. I want to go take some pictures. This is bull.
So this is a guy who's had every vax available, and he's still hiding in his basement because the vaccine works so well that he can't go out. Right. So when other people disagree, when Aaron Rodgers, for example, the athlete, decided to make his own medical decisions about the vaccine, Howard Stern was enraged. He said Rodgers should be kicked out of the NFL. Socializing is now.
Before anyone could react, Tyrus stepped in, calm, composed, and completely unfazed. No loud claims, no drama, just simple observations that landed because they were hard to ignore. And suddenly, the whole conversation shifted.
The problem is that we have an elite group of narcissistic morons. So, no, I wish that was a joke, but it's not. They don't. To go on TV every day to objectively talk about something, you have to study, you have to research the pros and cons. And both candidates, you should find things you like, things that concern you. It's called doing work. That's why all the old journalists look so old.
Tucker Carlson followed with his calm, almost amused tone. Never loud, just steady. Alongside Tyrus, they didn't attack. They simply questioned the narrative. And once that happened, things started to shift. For Howard Stern, the reaction felt different. Not outrage, more like surprise. Because this time, the pushback came without hesitation and without fear.
There was a lot that was impressive about Howard Stern, for sure, and that bravery allowed him to be creative, but not anymore. Maybe it was the coronavirus that broke him, maybe it was just hormonal changes with the middle age. He's now a coward, and his broadcast is about cowardice, amplifying his fears about corona over the air and attacking, more precisely, attacking anybody else who's decided to live life as a free person.
When are we going to stop putting up with the idiots in this country and just say, it's mandatory?
The irony, hard to miss. Howard Stern, known for pushing others, is now facing the same pressure. Tyrus keeps it simple, building point by point without forcing it. Meanwhile, Tucker Carlson stays calm, just highlighting what's already there. No drama, no noise. And that quiet contrast is what makes a shift impossible to ignore.
Yeah.
You know, like he has nothing to, he's just one of those people that was able to make a lot of money at other people's expense at the time when you were able to do it. And now, this is what he is. They shouldn't cancel him. Let him stay on until he has 10 people listening. Let him bother him that a young woman came along with an idea and her thing. I've never listened to her podcast, but good for her that she's making money. And of course it bothers him because before someone like that, he would bring on his show.
At some point, the tone shifts. The louder it gets, the less powerful it feels. What once looked confident starts to feel uncertain, and audiences notice. Tucker Carlson stays calm, never forcing the moment. Tyrus lets silence do the work. Meanwhile, Howard Stern keeps reacting, trying to hold control. And suddenly, it doesn't feel like a clash. It feels like a shift happening in real time.
Different chef. And I'm, it's getting very confusing to me. I see what's going on with COVID. Everyone's got it. Everyone's sick. People have 104 fever. I don't want to have 104 fever. I don't want to get sick. So I'm hiding, but everyone else is out running around. I see Oprah's she's having dinner parties.
So the guy was always a narcissist. Obviously, the show was about himself. But again, he had a spirit. He had bravery.
The irony, the disruptor feels disrupted. Howard Stern, once the loudest voice, now faces a different kind of pushback. Meanwhile, Tyrus and Tucker Carlson keep it simple, calm, focused, and direct. No insults, just steady commentary. And that contrasts everything. Because when the room changes, volume alone isn't enough anymore. And suddenly, the entire script feels flipped.
And stayed up all night checking sources and this, that, whatever. When you get The View, who are like, I don't have to think anything. I don't like him, and I'm rich, so you shouldn't like him either. And I can say anything because no one's going to check me. I surround myself with people. They'll have one puppet Republican who was scared to death to say anything against them, or if she does come out, they'll interrupt her nonstop. So there's this level of stupidity, and it spreads because they don't have to.
The story isn't over. Tension is still building, and every response keeps the moment alive. Tyrus steps back in, calm, steady, and unfazed. No drama. Just another quiet push in a shifting conversation. Because in moments like this, the spotlight doesn't stay still. It moves. And as it shifts, the balance starts to change. Slowly, but clearly.
You prostituted yourself out for the woke. Literally, you all did. And then now you're trying to come back and say it was not that? Yeah, it was people like you who refuse to tell the truth, tell it like it is. You continue to support an administration that was lying to the American people, and you were fine with it. Now everything went bad, and none of you can say what the real problem is because none of them can look in the mirror. You're the problem, John.
But I appreciate that about the left, and let's leave it alone. Let them live in their ignorance.
Meanwhile, the reaction barely escalates, and that's the real shift. Tucker Carlson stays calm, almost amused, letting the moment speak for itself. Tyrus remains steady, not reacting, just observing. And that contrast changes everything. Because when outrage meets silence, the silence starts to win.
Government censorship, to give the finger to the man. There was a lot that was impressive about Howard Stern, for sure, and that bravery allowed him to be creative, but not anymore. Maybe it was the coronavirus that broke him, maybe it was just hormonal changes with middle age. He's now a coward, and his broadcast is about cowardice, amplifying his fears about corona over the air and more precisely attacking anybody else who's decided to live life as a free person.
What you start to see is a contrast between noise and control. Tyrus stays patient, letting time and silence do the work. Tucker Carlson doesn't chase reactions. He simply observes and comments when needed. And that changes the dynamic completely. Because when urgency meets calm, the calm starts to stand out more. And slowly, the power shift becomes impossible to ignore.
The Democratic Party's not going anywhere because we only have two options.
Yeah.
So even doesn't matter. We've been around forever. Yeah, because both parties do a good job of keeping a third party out.
Right.
So you won't see any. So what they do is every once in a while they change their face. So Democratic Party was overtaken by activists and wannabe terrorists. Because it's funny because and this is the difference between the two parties, when Republicans are losing and being attacked, i.e. when Facebook was taking everything you said.
Tucker Carlson uses silence like a tool, pauses that make every word hit harder. Tyrus stays steady, letting reactions speak for themselves. And that contrast shifts everything, because it's no longer about volume, it's about perception. And slowly, the narrative starts slipping out of control, not by force, but by comparison.
All hospitals would be closed to you. You're going to go home and die.
So if you don't trust the government, you don't get health care and you should die. So the bigger question is, how did this brave, creative guy become a tool, a craven tool of the powerful wishing death on his own listeners? There's something sad about this, really sad. Jimmy Dore has watched it happen. He's the host of the Jimmy Dore Show, and we're happy to have him come on tonight. So Jimmy, I'm not even attacking Howard Stern, whom I respect for his talents.
The longer this goes on, the clearer it becomes. It's not about one moment anymore. It's about relevance shifting in real time. Tyrus keeps it moving, treating it as just another point in the conversation. Tucker Carlson stays calm, observing, not feeding the noise. And that restraint changes everything, because attention doesn't stay in one place forever. And slowly, the spotlight starts moving on its own, without asking for permission.